Let me walk you through my 90-day money vision process. It's 3 simple steps that take about 20 minutes but save you months of stress. We are going to look ahead at the next 90 days and write down every single event. You can always adjust later. Welcome to Everyone's Talking Money, where we get brutally honest about money, mindset, and making life richer. You're listening to Everyone's Talking Money, the podcast that's all about making life richer, from your bank account to your mindset and everything in between. I'm your host, Shari Rash, and this September, we're doing something special, our Back to School, Back to Budget series. Just like the kids are getting back into routines, it's time for us to reset our money routines too. Over the next 4 episodes, I'll help you shake off the summer spending hangover, get your budget back in shape, and set yourself up for a strong finish to the year. Today, we're diving into part 3 of our Back to School, Back to Budget series. Let's get into it. Today, we need to talk about something that might be keeping you up at night. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The next 3 months can absolutely demolish even the best budget. I'm talking about the triple threat that hits every single year like clockwork, but somehow we're still surprised about it. Halloween costumes and candy, Thanksgiving travel, and all those Target runs for just one more thing. And then the big finale, the holiday season with gifts, parties, decorations, and that January credit card statement that makes you want to hide under a blanket. But here's what I love about this time of year. And yes, I said love. All of this spending is predictable. It's not random. Halloween happens on October 31st every single year. Thanksgiving is always the 4th Thursday in November, and the big guy comes down the chimney every 25th of December. The holidays always show right up on schedule. We are the problem. We are the ones that are not predictable. We are the ones that are not planning for it. We can get ahead of it. And most importantly, we can enjoy it without that sinking feeling in our stomach every time we swipe our card. So today, we're holiday proofing your wallet. Not with guilt, not with deprivation, but with smart strategies that let you say yes to what matters most. We're talking about forecasting, sinking funds, and the beautiful art of intentional spending. If you've ever felt like October through December just happens to you instead of for you, this episode is going to change everything. Let's dive in. Picture this. It's October 30th. You're at Target. Your kid has just informed you that the costume you bought 2 weeks ago is totally lame, and now you're panic buying a new one. You're buying overpriced candy for trick-or-treaters because you're nervous you don't have enough, plus that cute pumpkin-scented candle you swore you didn't need. I mean, pumpkin season is through November after all, right? And the bill? $140. And that's just the start. That surprise, though, isn't really a surprise. It's just poor planning. Here's what most of us do. We live paycheck to paycheck. And that doesn't mean we run our checking account down to zero and then we wait for our next paycheck to build it back up and then it goes away and back up again. What it means is we handle expenses as they pop up. October hits and suddenly we're like, shoot, the kids need Halloween costumes. And I need candy for like 100 kids that are coming to my house for trick-or-treating. Oh, wait, I need to get apples for our neighborhood apple bobbing competition. And then November rolls around and we're panicking about Thanksgiving travel costs. December arrives and we're running around like our hair's on fire trying to figure out holiday gifts. Well, what if I told you there's a better way? What if instead of reacting to expenses, you could anticipate them? Let me walk you through my 90-day money vision process. It's 3 simple steps that take about 20 minutes, but save you months of stress. Step 1, calendar archaeology. Grab your calendar, physical, digital, whatever you use. We are going to look ahead at the next 90 days and write down every single event, holiday, or occasion that might cost money. I'm talking about everything. Halloween parties, trick-or-treating, your niece's birthday, Thanksgiving travel, Black Friday shopping, work holiday parties, kids' winter sports registration, family photos, end of year teacher gifts, New Year's Eve plans. Write it all down. And don't edit yourself here. If it crosses your mind, write it down. Those matching pajamas, write it down. You can always adjust later. Step 2, reality check with dollar signs. Now comes the fun part. And by fun, I mean slightly terrifying, but ultimately liberating. That kind of fun. We're putting real dollar amounts next to each of these events. Halloween, costumes, decoration, candy for trick-or-treaters. What's that going to cost? And be honest. If you have 3 kids and you're the house that gives out the full-size candy bars, don't budget like you're buying fun-size Tootsie Rolls. And what's up with calling these teeny tiny pieces of candy fun size anyway? I respectfully disagree. Thanksgiving. Are you traveling, hosting, both? Travel means flights, gas, hotels, rental cars. Hosting means food, decorations, extra chairs, linens, towels. Whatever it is, write it down. Visiting family means hostess gifts and probably stopping at Target 3 times because you forgot something. Holiday shopping, gifts for family, friends, teachers, mail carriers, babysitters, coworkers, hairdresser. Add in wrapping supplies. I don't know about you, but I go through a lot of tape. Shipping costs if you're not Amazon priming it. The $4 Amazon charges you for the wrapping, quote unquote, those weird bags that they put the presents in. And those, oh, this would be perfect for impulse buys. Winter prep, coats, boots, gloves. I don't know about you, but every time I put away my winter gear, I put away even number of gloves. And when I unpack that gear, I always end up with odd number of gloves. So we need to replace those every so often. And if you then want to actually get accurate with your numbers, go back. And this is where you might need to pour yourself a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, grab some cookies, chips, whatever you want to do to make this a fun experience for yourself, and go and look at your credit card statements, your bank statements for this time last year, September, October, November, December. Export those transactions, put them in a spreadsheet, and allocate each expense. Was this a regular day-to-day expense? Or was this a holiday 90-day expense? And allocate it. Regular expense, holiday expense, regular expense, holiday expense. And then add up the holiday expenses. Now you know, based on past performance, what you've spent. And then for fun, compare it. How many items did you forget when you were just doing your brain dump of all of those expenses that you were writing down? We forget about things all the time. It's totally normal. But again, let's use our past experience to help us prepare for the future. And then step 3, the buffer zone. And this is where most people mess up. They calculate everything perfectly and then act surprised when life happens. So we are adding a buffer. Or we can even call it inflation. I recommend 20 to 25% on top of your estimates. Why? Because surprise costs are usually just forgotten, predictable ones. The birthday party your kid gets invited to the day before Halloween, that extra bag of candy because you ran out, the hostess wine you forgot to buy until you're already in the car, the appetizer you signed up to bring to your friend's house. Let me tell you about my client, Sarah. Smart woman, great job, always felt like she had her finances together until last November. She told me, Thanksgiving is just food, right? How expensive could it be? The news always puts on how much the average Thanksgiving dinner costs, and it's not that much, to be honest. Well, let me break down Sarah's just food Thanksgiving. $150 for groceries because she was hosting 12 people. $400 for flights for her and her husband to visit his parents the weekend after. $75 for wine as host gifts. $120 for last minute Target runs. The just grabbing a few things that somehow always ends up costing more than your groceries. Sarah's just food Thanksgiving costs $1,125, and that was before Christmas shopping even started. But here's the beautiful thing. Using my strategy, the next year, Sarah is ready. She knew what was coming. She planned for it. And instead of panicking, she's enjoying every minute of the holiday season. So your homework for this segment, write down your top 3 expenses you know are coming in the next 90 days. Put real numbers next to them. Be honest and be generous with your estimates. And don't forget that buffer. Because when you forecast, nothing sneaks up on you. And when nothing sneaks up on you, you get to enjoy the season instead of surviving it. All right, let's start with something that sounds boring, but is actually a game changer: forecasting. And I don't mean staring into a crystal ball. I mean getting out of that week to week spending mode that leaves us all scrambling. Casting isn't about cutting everything. It's about saying, okay, here's what's coming. How do I want to handle it? Now that you've looked ahead and probably had a small panic attack about how much the next 90 days are going to cost, don't worry, it's totally normal. Wouldn't you rather have the panic attack now before you actually spend the money versus in January when you're getting your credit card statements for the money you've already spent? I mean, this is how we're going to make it manageable. This is how you are going to control your holiday season versus it controlling you. And how we're going to do that is with sinking funds. If you've never heard the term sinking funds before, a sinking fund is basically the opposite of debt. Instead of buying something and then paying for it over time with interest, you save small amounts consistently for expenses you know are coming. You're spreading big costs into manageable chunks. Think of it this way. Would you rather eat an entire turkey in one sitting or enjoy reasonable portions over several meals? I had to throw a Thanksgiving analogy in there. Sinking funds are the financial equivalent of not giving yourself money indigestion, or they're the day after Thanksgiving turkey sandwich. Let's say you've determined you need $900 for all of your holiday expenses between now and January. You could put $900 on a credit card in December and then have a heart attack in January when your statement comes, beat yourself up, spend the next 6 months paying it off and also paying interest. Or you could save $300 a month for September, October, and November and pay cash for everything. And then come next year, you could save less than $100 a month every month. Come the holidays, you have plenty of money to pay for your holiday festivities in cash. You're still spending the same amount of money. It's just completely different stress levels. Again, you're controlling the holiday spending versus it controlling you. It's time to prepare with sinking funds. A sinking fund is money you set aside regularly for a predictable expense. The key word here is predictable. Christmas is not an emergency. It happens every December 25th. Here are a few sinking funds to set up right now. Holiday funds, gifts, wrapping paper, travel, hosting, seasonal clothing fund, winter coats, boots, gloves, or how about kids' activities funds? I'm guilty of this. I always act like it's a surprise every time registration time comes around, but I know what sports my kids play. I know they're going to be doing activities. Why should I be surprised about this every fall and spring? So think about the sports registration fees, equipment, team photos, end of year parties, school fundraisers. If you have kids, you know these costs add up fast. I'm getting my yearbook emails right now. School started a month ago and I'm already being told to buy the yearbook now. It's better to save $50 a month all year than scramble for the $200 plus the uniform fee, plus the gate fees, plus the travel expenses when the soccer season actually starts. It's survival, but it doesn't have to be crisis spending. Annual expenses fund. This one's a bonus if you're able to do it, but it really is a game changer. Things like insurance premiums, HOA fees, Amazon Prime renewals, professional membership. These hit once a year and somehow always feel like a surprise. And honestly, they always come at the worst time, even though they happen every single year at the exact same time. And these expenses are never factored into our monthly budgets. If you were to write a budget, you're likely not including your HOA fee because you pay your HOA fee twice a year. Or you're not including your car insurance because you pay it once every 6 months or once a year. So there's no way for us to think about that if it's only a once a year spend. So instead, let's slice it up 1/12 of it and save it into our annual expenses fund. And then that way, when that HOA bill comes, it's always at the worst time, we have the cash on hand to cover it. It's a much less stressful situation. Here's how the math works. Let's say you know you'll spend about $900 on holiday gifts, food, and events. If you start saving in September, you've got 3 months. That's $300 a month or $75 a week. Totally doable. Compare that to swiping your credit card in December and facing a $900 bill in January, plus interest if you can't pay it off. Here's the beauty. Sinking funds spread the pain out over time, so you feel none of that pain later. Here's how to set them up. Open a separate savings account and label them holiday, travel, sports fees, kids' activities. You get the idea. Many online banks also let you name your accounts and don't require a minimum balance. Or if you hate multiple accounts, keep one seasonal fund and track categories in a spreadsheet or in a notebook. And then automate small weekly transfers. This is the important step. You have to automate. Do not rely on your own habit to just say, I'm going to transfer money over every few days. Automate it. Take it off your plate. And then that way, once it's out of your checking account, it's no longer there for you to spend and it's only in your sinking fund. I mean, think about it. If you automate even $20 a week, that becomes $1,000 in a year. That sounds like holiday presents right there. One client dreaded December every year. The first time she had her Christmas account set up, she said it was the most stress-free holiday she ever had. She actually enjoyed buying gifts because the money was just waiting for her. Sinking funds equal joy without guilt. If you really want to master the sinking fund, learn from experience. Go through your credit card statements for the entire year and look at each transaction and say, is that a sinking fund expense or just a regular monthly expense? If you want to get fancy, export all those transactions into an Excel spreadsheet and then allocate sinking fund, regular expense, sinking fund, regular expense. Then look at all of the sinking fund expenses, add them up. Then allocate them even more. Is this a home maintenance repair? Is this a holiday expense? Is this a seasonal clothing expense? And then create your handful of sinking funds based off of your past spending. Your past spending is going to tell you how much you should have in each of your sinking funds. So you could guess, or you could really use history as the lesson. Again, this is all about making your life easier. So let's make our lives easier before the credit card statement comes versus trying to scramble and pay our credit card bills after the holidays. So let me do some quick math for you. Let's say your holiday spending is $900. If you put that on a credit card with an 18% interest rate and make minimum payments, you'll pay an extra $85 in interest and it will take you 11 months to pay it off, right in time for holiday season to start right back up again, and then the vicious cycle continues. But instead, if you save $300 a month for 3 months, starting right now, you pay cash, and the only thing you owe in January is gratitude to your past self. Now, practically speaking, how do you actually do this? Because you might be saying, well, yeah, Shari, that's only 3 months to save a whole lot of money. I still have my regular expenses. So let's go through a couple of options. And also, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something. So you may not be able to save your entire holiday sinking fund in 3 months, but wouldn't it be nice to have just a little something set aside? And then come January next year, you can then set up the sinking funds way ahead of time and have enough money to pay for your holidays then. So again, don't let perfection get you in the way of just doing the practice. So here are a couple of options to implementing sinking funds. Option number 1, Open a separate savings account. Many online banks like Ally or Capital One 360 let you create multiple savings buckets with different names. You can literally have a Christmas fund and a annual expense fund account. Option 2, use one savings account and track everything on paper or in a spreadsheet. Create different categories and keep a running tally of how much you've saved for each purpose. Or option 3, use an app designed for this. There are several that help you set up and track multiple sinking funds. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Pick whatever feels easiest for you to stick with. Let me tell you about my client, Jessica. She used to dread December because she knew she was going to overspend and then stress and beat herself up for months. Does that sound familiar to anyone else? But last year, she started a simple Christmas account in July. And you know what reminded her to do it? She went to a Christmas in July party. And what did she have to do? Instead of buying an ugly Christmas sweater, she had to buy an ugly Christmas t-shirt. And she said, you know what? Let me get ahead of my Christmas spending now. And she just set aside $75 a month, less than what she was spending on her daily coffee habit. And by December, she had $450 saved up. It wasn't enough to go crazy. It was enough to cover some gifts. And more importantly, there was no guilt and there was no debt. And she told me for the first time in years, I actually enjoyed Christmas shopping. I wasn't worried about my bank account. I wasn't calculating how long it would take to pay off my credit card. I was just enjoying it. That is the power of sinking funds. They give you permission to spend money on things you've already planned to spend money on and saved for. There's no guilt, no stress, no January financial hangover. But the key is starting now. Again, we don't have to be perfect. We just have to start the practice. Even if the holidays feel impossibly close, even if you can only save $50 or $100 total, that's $50 or $100 you won't have to put on a credit card. And next year, you will then have the full system in place for a whole year's worth of sinking fund practice. Sinking funds equal freedom, freedom to enjoy the season instead of fearing it. Okay, so let's pause for a mindset reset because I know some of you are listening to all this talk about planning and saving and thinking, great, so the holidays are going to be no fun at all for me and I can't buy anything I want. And that's not what this is about at all. Let's talk about intentional spending versus deprivation. Here's where we shift from planning to mindset, because you don't want a budget that feels like financial jail. Intentional spending means deciding in advance what matters most to you and letting yourself spend freely there while cutting back on what doesn't matter most to you. There are guardrails that keep you aligned with your values. Does your spending match your values? What matters most? And that's where you're putting your hard-earned dollars. Here's another tip. Create holiday rules for yourself. Put a cap on how much you're spending per person per gift. Limit how many parties you'll attend. If you're only going to certain parties because you feel like you need to, is that really worth the ugly sweater or the new outfit or the hostess gift? Might not be. Or also set a budget. Instead of spiraling in December, you've already decided what matters. This is about intentional spending versus unintentional spending. There's a huge difference between the two. Intentional spending is money directed toward your priorities. It's guilt-free because it's on purpose. Unintentional spending is impulse Amazon purchases at midnight, saying yes to every single holiday event, and then panicked mall runs on December 23rd where you buy random stuff because you ran out of time to think about what people actually want. So let me ask you this. What's your holiday joy must have? What's the thing that makes this season special for you? Maybe it's traveling to see family. Maybe it's hosting big, elaborate dinners. Maybe it's giving really thoughtful, generous gifts. Maybe it's decorating your house like a winter wonderland. Maybe it's going to see the Nutcracker every year. Here's the thing. You can't do everything at the highest level and stay sane financially or emotionally. but you can pick your top priorities and go all in on those. I want you to think about this as choosing your non-negotiables. What are 3 things that if they didn't happen would make the holidays feel disappointing for you, would make you feel like you missed out, like it just wasn't the same? So let me give you some examples. Hosting Thanksgiving, traveling to see your in-laws at Christmas, giving your nieces and nephews one really special gift they'll remember. Then budget generously for those 3 things and simplify everything else. Store-bought dessert for Thanksgiving instead of making everything from scratch. Simple decorations instead of turning your house into a Christmas showroom. Thoughtful but modest gifts for extended family instead of trying to wow everyone. Or what about taking your family on a winter vacation, giving your partner an amazing anniversary gift, or making sure your mom has a beautiful Christmas? Then you skip holiday parties to save money and focus on family time. Exchange names for gifts among your siblings instead of buying a gift for everyone. Make homemade gifts for teachers and neighbors instead of shopping for them. Or what if your non-negotiables are decorating your house beautifully, hosting a big Christmas Eve party, and making sure every person on your list gets a thoughtful gift? Instead, you decide to stay home for your holidays instead of traveling so you can enjoy your beautifully decorated house. Start shopping in January for next Christmas, spreading the costs over 12 months. I even know people that'll buy a gift card every month from Target or Amazon and then use those gift cards for their Christmas and holiday spending. It's like creating a sinking fund, but instead of seeing the dollars in a bank account, you have the dollars in a gift card, which then really controls when you're spending that money. Notice in these examples what's happening. We're not depriving ourselves. We're not having sad budget holidays. We're instead making intentional choices about where to spend our money and our energy. We are creating boundaries, not restrictions. We're not saying no to everything. We're saying hell yeah to the things that matter most, and thanks, but no thanks to everything else. Create rules that protect your joy. Maybe you shop online to avoid impulse purchases. Maybe you set a decoration budget and when it's spent, you're done. Maybe you decide that gift giving stops at immediate family and everyone else gets cards or baked goods. The goal isn't to be the most frugal person at the holiday party. The goal is to enjoy the season without the stress that comes with overspending. Remember, intentional money brings joy. Mindless money brings debt. And debt is not a holiday gift you want to give to your future self. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the guilt, the shame, that voice in your head that says, I will always blow my budget in December. I have no self-control. I am bad with money. First of all, stop it. You're not bad with money. The holiday season is financially challenging for literally everyone. You're not broken. You're human. And talk about capitalism and rushing the holidays and making us feel like we have to have the most beautiful decorated house, the best gifts, the best everything. You're human. It's okay. But I do want you to shift your perspective from surviving the holidays to thriving during them. Most people approach holiday spending like it's something that happens to them, like they're victims of Christmas and Hanukkah. But what if instead you approach it like meal prepping? Stay with me here. When you meal prep, you still eat. In fact, you probably eat better because you're planning ahead. You choose ingredients you actually like. You make portions that satisfy you. You save time and money and stress during the week because you were prepared. Planning your holiday money is exactly the same. You still get to spend. You still get to enjoy. You still get to be generous and festive and fun, but you're doing it on purpose with intention in a way that serves your bigger financial goals. This isn't about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes on purpose. I need you to normalize imperfection here. Your budget might flex during the holidays, and that's okay. The goal isn't to spend exactly what you planned down to the penny. The goal is to avoid the January financial hangover. You know what I'm talking about. That sick feeling when you check your bank account in the new year. The credit card statements that make you want to hide. 3 months of eating ramen because you went overboard with charcuterie in December. When you plan ahead, when you save intentionally, when you spend with purpose, you get to wake up in January feeling proud instead of panicked. Let me tell you about my client, Diane. Last January, she came to me feeling terrible about her holiday spending. I did it again, she said. I promised myself I wouldn't go crazy, and then I spent $2,000 I didn't have, or worse, that I didn't even want to spend. But this year was different. Starting in September, Diane saved $200 a month in her holiday fund. She made lists. Just like Santa, she set her limits and she stuck to her plan. Same family, same traditions, same generosity. But instead of $2,000 in credit card debt, she had $600 in cash saved up and the peace of mind that comes with being prepared. I actually enjoyed Christmas morning more, she told me. Instead of thinking about how much everything costs, I was just present with my family. And that, my friends, is what we're after. Being present instead of worried. Enjoying the season instead of surviving it. Thriving instead of just getting through. Here's your mindset mantra for the season. This isn't deprivation, it's direction. Every dollar you plan is a dollar you get to spend guilt-free. Every boundary you set is protection for the things you value most. Every choice you make intentionally is a gift to your future self. The holidays don't have to happen to you. They can happen for you, but only if you decide to take control instead of hoping for the best. All right, so let's bring this all together. We've covered a lot of ground today, but it all comes down to 3 key concepts. First, forecast your next 90 days. Look ahead. Write down what's coming. Put real dollar amounts next to everything. Go back and look at what you've historically spent and add a buffer for life's little surprises and also inflation. Second, build sinking funds. Start saving now for expenses you know are coming. And this doesn't apply to just the holidays. Any expense you have that feels like it knocks the wind out of your lungs when you get the bill in the mail or when you get the invoice in your email, start saving now for those things. Even small amounts add up and save you from that gut check or that credit card scramble later. Third, spend intentionally. Pick your holiday joy non-negotiables, your top 3 must-haves, and budget generously for those, and simplify everything else. Now, your homework. I want you to do these 3 things before our next episode next week. Homework number 1, list your top 3 fall and holiday expenses, the big ones you know are coming, and put real numbers next to them. Be honest, be generous, and don't forget the buffer. Homework number 2, open or start one sinking fund today. Even if it's just $20 in a jar labeled holiday fund, start somewhere. Pick the easiest method, whether it's a separate savings account for each sinking fund, an envelope in your dresser drawer, buying a gift card every couple of weeks, or a note in your phone tracking your progress. Do whatever works for you. Try a couple out as well. Maybe assign a different strategy for each sinking fund and see what you like the best. What works best for your money personality? Homework number 3, choose your top 3 non-negotiables for this season. What are the 3 things that absolutely have to happen for you to feel good about the holidays? Write them down. These are your permission slips to spend intentionally, and spend without abandon. That's it. 3 simple steps that will transform how you experience the next 3 months. And before we wrap up, let me give you a sneak peek of next week's episode, our final episode in this Back to School, Back to Budget series. We're talking about from saver to investor, making your money work as hard as you do. If you've been following along and getting your financial house in order, this is where we take it to the next level. If today's episode helped you see holiday spending in a new light, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who also dreads this time of year, or worse, dreads the January credit card statement. We all know someone who gets stressed about holiday money. Be the friend who shares the solution. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, remember, you've got this. The holidays can be joyful and affordable. You just have to plan for it. I'm Shari, and I'll see you next week for our final episode in the series. Happy planning and happy spending.